Hey guys, it's Gracie from Small Worlds Big Adventures, and today we're doing a little bit of a walkthrough of putting together a box organizer for Quacks of Quenlinburg. This is notoriously one of the worst organized boxes, not very useful, and then like once on the table, it's just a bunch of pieces. So we ordered from Tower Rex. This box organizer. It is our second box organizer. And this one's a little more ornate and has some like tops and stuff. So I thought we'd walk through it together. So let's get started. So one of the big things is following the instructions. More and more instructions are coming on a QR code. So I'm going to use my iPad. If you weren't recording this on your phone, you could use your phone. And we're going to kick that off. You can see here, it gives a picture and it starts giving us instructions. So let's start by going and opening the box and separating the pieces. Now, I will say, because I have done these before, that it is super handy to have a few things. One, some just like snippers, wire cutters, something like that. Sometimes as you're breaking it out of the wood, you'll get little chips and it's easy to just snip them off. Along with that, either some sandpaper or a file to make sure your edges are smooth. A rubber mallet that you can gently use to get some tough fitting pieces together, and some wood glue. A lot of these kits come together and fit tightly, but for longevity, you'll probably want to have all the joints and connections fussed up with some extra wood glue. So here you can see they have the different labels for the pieces and what this is for. So this is the Quenlinburg. You can see, so here, it looks like with this kit, they have it grouped by items. So if you look right here, it says the Quenlinburg Charlatan's Chest, 5 of 6. And so that's going to help us. Now, normally, I would probably just take everything apart and try to piece it together. But this is beautifully labeled. So we have 2 J1s here. We have an F1 here. And I haven't seen a box organizer like on the board be so well laid out. So our first step in the instructions is to put together the A1s, A2s, and all that. So I'm going to look for those. And honestly, these are breaking apart pretty easily. So that's just something I'm going to have to like be conscious of, but is good because sometimes these come out really difficultly. So you can see I already popped a piece out here. So I'll set this aside. Those are the J's, HI, coming out beautifully well. Set those aside. Not sure where that went. Oh my goodness, here's the B's and the A's. Okay. So these are popping out so well. But if you look right here, there's just some little gunk. Honestly, this is not that bad. If you did not want to trim or file these up, that would be totally fine. Where is my file? Oh, here it is. But just to kind of showcase with the file, I'll just go like this. And just kind of smooth that out. So these are BB A1, A2. Now, because these popped out so well, I'm going to have to be careful to make note of what I'm putting. So A1 is this piece. Those would be A3 here. Oh, and see, this is, while some of these are beautifully coming out, some are a little more difficult. And again, we're looking just to see if there's any edge pieces that really need attention. A4. Still need, oh, here we go. A2 times 2. So I think it's this one. Beautiful. For the time being, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to focus on this one. So the pieces go together with the design. So the pieces go together with the design on the outside. So as we're laying it out, we're going to want to lay those flat like this. Just need to make sure. So this is how the pieces are going to go together. Now, so what I'm going to do, and you can get smaller bottles of this. This is just what I currently have. Is just on the little squares, just put a little dot like this. So as you can see, this will just kind of sit this way. And that snaps in there pretty well. Now, you can wipe the excess glue off. And to do that, you just need like a wet paper towel. So, I have my damp paper towel. I run it along the seam. Make sure everything's tight. And there we go. You can be a little more heavy-handed with the glue, but you're trying to figure out where glue is going to touch other wood. So in this case, it's going to slide on like this. Boop. Where is it? Yeah. So putting it where the edges will touch other edges is another way to kind of add support. Now, depending on the type of wood glue you get, it will dry clear. But if you're going to stain something, or if, and see, this is not wanting to go in. So we're going to take our little handy dandy mallet and just tap. And again, taking a wet paper towel and drying the excess off. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Oh, but if you have too much on there, the wood glue is not going to want to stain. And also it can be a little clumpy. Now, maybe you don't care about that, but if you're an attention to detail person, you may want to take that in consideration. So now we've attached A1, A2, A3, and we're just going to continue the process for A2 and A4. Another thing you can do if you're not like super comfy using the bottle is you can just squeeze them onto a plate and apply it with like a Q-tip. It's all about your comfort. I just use my hands because by the end of anything like this, I'm just like trying to get it done quicker rather than worrying about much fuss. This will leave your hands kind of gross and sticky. But most of the time it comes off pretty easily, and like you can take some soap and water and just get it off your hands. But I will be wiping in between so it doesn't get that way. So again, we're making sure our pieces line up and that we have everything in the right order. Beautiful. If you do not have a rubber mallet, I do not recommend using a hammer. Part of the reason rubber mats exist is because they're a little more gentle than if just like a metal hammer. So having that rubber mallet helps protect the overall design. If you don't have one and you don't want to go buy one and you're having issues getting in with these, using like the end of a screwdriver or placing a book on top and just kind of like punching down on it will have a better, safer effect for this. So just things to keep in mind. And it's important to know, especially how tight fitting these are. Like your box organizer is not going to fail just because you didn't use wood glue. There's some other ones. The one we got from Broken Token, it had some looser fitting pieces. Not that they didn't work, but they would maybe not be as long lasting or may fall apart eventually. The wood glue is just like an added thing and not like a mandatory thing. All right. And wiping off our excess glue. Now, it can be really like exciting to do this, especially with wood glue. And be like, as soon as I am done and have all this put together, we will put the pieces in. But that is not the case if you're using wood glue. You want to give it, see a little bit of sunlight there. I'm going to try and tap that again. Oh, that's better. You want to give it 24 hours. You would hate to put your pieces in here and then like have them get stuck because the wood glue was like coming out of the creases. So just for the sake of your board game, give it 24 hours to dry. We're going to set this aside. And now we're going to move on to B. And it looks like B, figure B is the same as figure A. The pieces look very similar. So, again, wonderfully cut pieces. These are mostly just popping out on their own, which is fantastic. Here we have a thin piece. These little nubbins and stuff may try to pop out as you tear stuff out, and especially as more and more stuff comes out of the sprues. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now we have our, oh, I missed one. Can't forget B3. All right. Again, you want to lay it out, design side down, following the diagram. So, and that's just an extra layer. For this one, even though I don't tend to do this, I will show you how you could apply with a Q-tip. All right, so for this one, we're just going to do the example of using Q-tips. So for this, whatever your wood glue is, I would just squeeze a bunch on your plate. This will keep your hands cleaner. But I can be a little futzy, and this isn't as like, I don't know, as detail oriented as like a paintbrush or something would be. But you're not gonna fuck your paintbrush up if you do it this way. So again, we're doing it a little more heavy-handed, keeping the intent on where wood pieces are going to touch, so we have less amount of stuff to wipe away. The more careful you can be with the wood glue, the less likely you will to have weird smears later and all of that. And this doesn't want to go in. Wood glue is fairly fast drying as far as like, it's not going to just stay damp and whatnot. But to really cure and have a solid hold, that will take longer. That's why you got to wait the 24 hours. Like I use the Q-tip for applying it. You can also use a wet Q-tip to kind of take the excess glue away. Some of the downsides of using Q-tips is they get a little finicky as you use them more. It gets stuck on the wood and the edges. So I would have a spare amount if you're going to use this. Don't just have one or two, because you can see right there, it starts like dragging out, which makes it less accurate eventually, but can be really handy. And you'd be like, hey, Grace, how do you know what, edges are going to touch? And the answer is I've done enough puzzles that I have kind of figured it out. Not that I'm always flawless about it. Occasionally you'll see I touch an edge that's going to be showing and not just touching other wood. Good example is, oh, actually I got all those. Oh, kind of like the edge here. I don't remember if that was an intentional place of glue or not. But a good way to tell is just to place it early. So if you're not sure where to put glue, you can always either fully put it on or just kind of test put it on. So you'll see the edges will kiss here and in here and here, and then like on those two. So, and again, it's not about perfection and hitting every bit. It's just about trying to get edges covered to add a little bit more security. Let's just go ahead and finish. Now, I am a good enough person. I love perfection. If I was a person who had the capabilities of being a perfect person, I would 10,000% do that. However, I am not. So you can stress yourself out and have this be an unenjoyable experience. Or you can just be like, you know what? I'm going to trust that good enough is good enough. And if I have a little bit of glue excess, or I don't use wood glue at all, I'm just going to try and enjoy the process. So don't think that you can't put something like this together because it's going to be imperfect. So much joy is lost in the pursuit of perfection. And I just like thinking of this as like a fun 3D puzzle. I love doing things. I'm a big Googler. Anything around the house that I'm like, oh no, this needs fixed. The you know heater broke, or I need to swap a lighting thing out. Like I'm going to try and do that myself. Maybe it's growing up poor, but I just the idea of paying someone something that I could do is just unfathomable to me. All right, so this is the last one for box B. So we're gonna go ahead. I feel a little silly doing a walkthrough of this one because honestly, their instructions and layout and their wood cutouts is really good. Um, so, but yeah, no, I grew up poor, so like, yeah, I couldn't afford to like take the cars to mechanics. So we had this Toyota, and that Toyota ran so freaking well for so long. It had like almost 200,000 miles by the end of it. Um, got a little excess water, but there was a long time where we had to push to start it. Because we couldn't afford to take that car there. But my mom figured out from someone that if you push the car downhill, it will start. And so that's what we did. Um, Now, thankfully, I am in a place that, like, should shit hit the fan and I couldn't figure something out and YouTube was not able to save me, we would be able to be okay. But it made me resourceful. All right, so we have box B done. I'm just checking for sunlight gaps. So let's see what's next. Haha, CC. All right, which of these things? All right, it's got a circle. I think that's going to be it. So I think we're on to D. I think it's this one. I'll flip it over. Let's see. Yep. Guys, look how these already fell out of this. Look at the carving in that. Oh, just a beautiful box. I think we saw this on a TikTok, and it's what we were like, well, maybe we will try to do box organizers. Okay, so this is C, this is C, these two are C, and this. Okay. So there we go. There is always a delicate process, especially if it doesn't just fall out like these two did, of trying to apply enough pressure that it pops out without breaking the actual piece you need. Again, these cuts are solid. They go most of the way through, so there's less fear about that. But I have broken a like laser cut glue. I have broken a laser cut wood piece before trying to pop it out of its sprues. Okay, so pieces are laid out like this, 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 and this. Okay, so I am a little bit looking at this, and sometimes I am unsure. So this is going off of the picture. It looks like C4 and C3 kiss. I am gonna like test put this together, just so I can understand fully how these are gonna go together. When I'm test putting it together, I am not trying to make sure it never moves again. It's just so I can understand how things fit. It looks like there's a little ramp. Looks like this slides in here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so then it will look like that. So I'll take this all apart. Now, since these two are kissing each other, I will put glue all the way on the back of that as like an added way to make it secure. So let's go ahead and start with that piece. Now, when you're doing something like this, you want to not put the glue on this back piece because it's open, it's covered, and you may not be able to like ensure that you got it in the right places. So you want to put it on the more delicate forward piece. So I'm going to continue using the Q-tips because I already have this pile of glue and I don't want to waste it. I'm not sure if you guys remember the One Dot Club, but in general, when you're doing this type of stuff, a little goes a long way. You don't need it to go smudging all the way out. Think about your first grade teacher and be like, I want to be a part of the One Dot Club. Full transparency, was never a part of the One Dot Club. I think I made it once and got a sticker for it. But she was always like, you could be using less and less glue. A little bit there. And again, the point is not that you have to have 100% coverage. It's just to add a layer of added support. So yeah, I'm going to put these together. And you see, even with as little glue as I put on there, there's some bits smushing out. So we'll clean that up. When you're cleaning up stuff, again, a little goes a long way. A lot of times these are made from particle board, and so they're really susceptible to warping because of water. So even if you clean it up, I would just try to dry it out afterwards. Now, because I want these two to kind of hold shape, I'm going to set them down and we're going to move into this one. So the others were kind of open-ended like this. This is our first one in this where you're kind of like putting it in. So for this, when I'm putting the glue in, oh, see, there's a little chip piece. I'm just going to cut that. So that's not an issue. And that's why you have things like this. So I'm going to focus on this one piece and putting glue on this one piece. The reason for this is as I put it in, I know the wood's going to touch all around the little pokey out bits and along this line. And it's a lot easier to get the glue on here than it will be to, again, get a direct line and put it in the right places there. Now, if you wanted, you could just like full squirt glue in here, and that will work. It will just be a little messier to clean up. And here's a great example of like me sometimes forgetting what is and isn't going to show. These are going to poke all the way through the hole, so I didn't need to put glue here, but I did. So we'll clean that up later. We're going to put this in. Good. We're going to do this side. Put some glue here. This time we're not going to put it on those edges because we're not dummies. You guys aren't. I definitely am. So we're going to put this side in. Okay. Do a little checking for daylight. And now we're going to go ahead and cover for this one the insides of these. Because we know that's where wood's going to touch. So full transparency. I legitimately thought before playing Quacks of Quenlinburg that it was going to have ducks. Oh, it's going to be a cute little duck game. That was not the case. So if you've never played Quacks of Quenlinburg, it's very fun. Recommend. But I would not go into it thinking that... Oh, see, and sometimes you fuck up. So looking at the diagram, this should be going the opposite way. So let's fix that. And this is another good reason that like why wood glue is a good choice. It doesn't super dry. I made a mistake. I can go back and fix it. So we're going to do that. I'm going to reapply the glue just so that there's enough of it, but you wouldn't necessarily have to. You know what? This always happens. There's always one point where I'm like, even if I'm following the directions, I'm like, shit, I did that wrong. A while back, there we go. Scott and I built a shed from a kit, and I am telling you, these pieces looked identical. I'm like, this is fine. I am putting this together. It's going great. I got the whole ass shed up and was getting ready to like put the roof on. I was like, oh shit, I have done messed up. So it turns out that they were different shapes and I just couldn't tell. Okay, we have that. Back to adding some more glue in here. I will say the more you have, the slower it is going to dry. So if you want a reason to not be a part of the One Dot Club, there you go. Your glue won't dry and will give you more time to fix your mistakes. All right, there. There we go. All right. Tap, tap. Make the daylight go away. Like this. That's a little better. All right, let's clean those edges up. Oh. It's another good time to kind of peek in there, see if any more glue was squishing out. Honestly, that is looking really sharp. So, all right, there's C. Moving on to D. Okay. So, one thing I don't love about these diagrams is they all look the same size. But here we go. So you have D1 times 2. Okay. I'm going to be a little careful with this. I do appreciate. Oh, see, we got some pieces hanging on there. Detail D2 should be positioned exactly as is shown in the instruction. So important to know. Okay, so that is this one. Okay, so as we're laying these out, I am curious. So you see these cuts? This makes the wood flexible, so it can bend like this. So I am curious if this is going to be a ramp, but we shall see. Okay, so they have it gem on the outside, and then this like this. Okay, let's apply our glue. I am getting to the point with these Q-tips that I am a little over it. Which I always hit. So, according to that, that's how it goes. So we're moving down to D3. And, oh, that is not on that one. Let's see if I can find it. Yay. Oh, here they are. Okay. So D3 and stuff are on here. So pop 2 of those out. Okay. So this is one where it looks a little tricky. And yep, there it goes. So there is a little ramp. So this is going to go in there. Now, because those pieces need to fit in here, it can be a little tricky to figure out how to do this all in one go. What I'm going to recommend is we're going to do a dry fit just to make sure this makes sense. So we're actually going to put these in first. And of course, paying close attention to which way the pieces go. And then I'm going to try and, yeah, lift slightly. There we go. And go like that. So yeah, that is the way I'm going to go. Now, again, this is curved. So I'm going to retake this out. And again, being very delicate with this because it's really cool that this bends and stuff. But because of all these small cuts, it is going to make it a lot easier to break these pieces. But we're going to put glue on this one. And especially because this one curves, we don't know where this will land exactly on these. So another good reason to put the glue on here. 10,000%, guys. Just so you know. Lining it up again. I hate following instructions. I am 10,000% a person who sees something and go, oh yeah, I can figure that out. Which gets me in trouble all the time. You might be like, why are you following instructions now? It's because I am doing a tutorial for you guys so that hopefully you don't get confused. All right. Now I should have put the glue in here first, but I did not. So we're going to do a little squeezy squeeze. And you'll see very much what I mean by like, you can just squeeze the glue into the hole, but it will make more cleanup. Okay, so now sliding everything together, hopefully. Okay, there we go. See all that excess? Let's go ahead and wipe that. I know we're not airtight yet, but that is a lot of glue. And look on the inside too. So that's kind of why you don't want to do the squeeze and push method. And we need a Q-tip to the inside. See, and now I got Q-tips sticking to Q-tips. That's why I always end up going back to my fingers. And then my fingers are gross. I'm like, oh, why didn't I use Q-tips the whole time? Yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna all right, we got some more glue coming out, so let's wipe that off. And I will say, talking about good enough is good enough. Outside matters more than inside does, in my opinion. People are going to notice the outside more than they will. And here's the thing. You have friends over and you have one of these setups. Unless you done real fucked it up, they're going to be like, oh my God, how did you do that? That's amazing. So they're not going to notice the little imperfections like you will. All right, so this is done. I realized as I was scrolling, I forgot to do this part. So we have these, and these are lids. You might be like, oh God, gross, there's birds. This part peels off. but can be a little difficult to. Oh, there we go. Huzzah! The reason this is on so it doesn't get like scratched up in like shipping and stuff. Therefore, all the scratches on it are yours. Maybe from trying to peel the thing off. I'm gonna feel so dumb. I'm pretty sure there's one on each side, but okay, there we go. I'm gonna having nails helps, guys. Yeah, I'm not just fucking. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So then it's clear. And then this slides in here like that. So gameplay, you would just remove this. So if you're following along, now is the point that you would do all those steps for D over again. And you should end up with 2 identical boxes. So let's go ahead and pop out all the E's. Oof. Whenever there's a little bit of resistance, I'm always like fearful. Like, oh God, don't break, don't break. If I do break a piece, I will show you what to do. Because essentially, especially with wood glue, you can fix it, but it is going to slow down your making process because you'll essentially have to let the piece sit. And maybe at the end of this, I'll show you if I didn't break any, how you could do that with just using a break-in piece of board. Taking all the E's out the box. Sorry if you hear beeping. Scott is making him some food. I'm also curious what got you guys into board games. Growing up, my mama loved Scrabble. And to this day, I love Scrabble. Word games, solid. I won't play with my mom, though. She's too competitive. But so that's kind of what led it. We never did like Monopoly or anything. No one in my family is like someone who reads the instructions. So if we didn't grow up being taught it, then we didn't learn it whatsoever. All right. So these are all the E pieces. And you're probably panicking because you're like, Grace, they're just one giant jumble. Which is fair. You know what? Fair and valid. So let's go ahead and sort them back out by types. These go over here. All right. Ones. I hear Scott talking to someone, and I am curious. So based on this, it looks like there's gonna be 5 boxes. Yeah. Okay. So each of these boxes is gonna be an E1, a E2, a E4. Oh, here's the thing. So, turned out to be a non-thing. It had this little piece in, and it just popped right back out. Sometimes that will happen. There will be pieces punched out that aren't. If that one was stuck in there, I would take this or something else slender to kind of tap it out. So like that. And this one, yes. This is going to go together like that. And I'm just going to do that 5 times. Returning to my mama and playing board games. So we played Scrabble. We played Uno. We did play that you drew until you got a card you could play. And honestly, that's it. Like, I didn't grow up playing Bananagrams. I didn't grow up playing Monopoly, Risk, any of that stuff. If I put this in right, there we go. Maybe. Oh, so this is a tight fit. Okay. So this one's not even wanting to go in. So, uh, we're at the first two pieces. One of the things we can do is try to force it and try to line it up. But this can lead to snapping, and it's so unstable. So what we might do first then is try a different hole. That might work. And there we go. If it's in, huzzah. And now that that piece is in, we'll retry to get that hole in. So yeah, I didn't play a diverse array of board games. I also didn't play Dungeons and Dragons growing up. I tried once in high school and it just didn't go well. Sorry guys, I am struggling with this piece. So it feels like it should go like this, but that is not working because look, the hole is too low. But if we go like this, maybe. Right, well, we are gonna keep trudging. Maybe it's on this side. Okay. We're gonna just pop in the next piece on this side. Okay. And then maybe. Okay, well, that piece goes like this, so that's good. Okay. So maybe it goes like. This is killing me, guys. Okay, so all this seems to fit well. But there's this bottom hole and there's this hole. And according to the image, it should go like this with a little thing like this for this to slide into. But none of that lines up. So I think how they have it cut, it's going to be like this. Riker, lay down. This is another reason to dry fit pieces. Now, there could be a couple things going on here. The instructions could be wrong. Because this definitely makes sense and looks right here. But it looks different. So sometimes you gotta improvise. So yeah. Now, Scott did not grow up playing board games with his parents. I had a very family-centric upbringing. And by that I mainly got to socialize with family. Well, Scott had lots of friends and lots of kids around the neighborhood and whatnot. So him and his friends got into board games. And so that kind of raised his awareness of different things. So it was and continues to be a whole new type of education around board games. A lot of times when we're talking about board games, I will have my opinion, but I feel a lot less confident about it. But when it comes to putting shit together, this is the way this is supposed to go. So we're going to do that just 5 more times. So, hi guys, future Grace here. And by that I mean the Grace that is editing. I realized that this clip did not have any audio, so you guys are going to get to enjoy a voiceover. So I am currently working on the F boxes. I am popping out all of the pieces and putting them in order. To the side there, you'll see the sides of the boxes. For this section, all you need is the bird head, the mushroom, the spider, and then the little mandrake root looking guy. The others, the pumpkin and the flower, are later, but the boxes are very similar. But you'll get to see those get put together as well. So I'm just punching out the appropriate pieces and kind of organizing them as best I can. Once I had everything popped out, it was time to start assembling. And the first step is to take the lids, which are these intricate cutout laser cut things. And there's an etch side and a non-etch side. So I am putting the Z1 little hooks in there. And Z1 goes into these little holes at the top. And you want to make sure that the hook of it is facing towards the front of the box. Again, you're putting it at the underside. So the etched part, you shouldn't be able to see the hooks. The non-etched part is where the hooks are. And then just cleaning up some glue. The next part is a little hinky in my mind. I do it by the directions for this one, but by the end of it, I kind of figure out what makes more sense for me. So we're putting on Z2, and the circle goes on the pegs at the back of the lid. It is a bit of a struggle bus for me. I at first put them on backwards, but if you do that, you can't even hinge them, and that is the point, is that they hinge. So you see, I figure it out, and I flip it around, and so you put one on each side. I don't end up doing it like this in future boxes because they're very dangly. And then when you go to put on the back of the box, it can be kind of hard to keep them in place while you're doing it. But this is how the instructions have you do it. So if you take your F2, you are then supposed to put the Z2 pieces into the holes, with the smoothest side at the top and the side with the most cutouts at the bottom. I am dry fitting these right now. I wasn't quite sure how all this is going to fit together and what would need to move and what didn't, so I didn't want to start putting glue pieces until I understood the way the box worked. And as you can see there, one of the pegs popped off, but I do get it put on pretty easy. And now I'm just checking to make sure the hinging works, and it does, which is great. The next step is going to be putting on the sides. Again, you want to make sure that the etched side piece, the etched side of the wood, goes on the outside of your box. So that is what I am doing. I'm sliding it on. Now, if you're facing the front of the box, the right side has a little lip on it, and that is to secure the lid if you want. According to the diagram, it is the F4 piece. Now, if you're putting this on, you're going to want the lid down because otherwise you can't close it. So just keep that in mind. You see me struggling a little bit here, trying to figure it out, but I do eventually pop it off, close the lid, and then put it back on. Like so. And how these lids work is if the lid is all the way to the left, you can open and close it pretty freely, but if you slide it to the right, it locks in place. So the next section is going to be putting on the bottom. And the bottom is, again, one of those bendy pieces with the zigzags cut out of it. Once you have popped that in place, then you're instructed to take the next pieces, which are these rounded pieces, also known in the directions as F6, and you're going to put them in the holes at the back of the box. I don't have the lid open for this. It's probably a little bit easier if you do it that way. But once those are in place, the next thing they're going to ask you to do is to curve that bottom piece all around and wedge the pegs on the side into the holes at the front of each side of the box. You can see that I struggle with this quite a little bit. The dynamics of the box and then trying to get the pegs from the curved pieces inside to fit into the bottom bendy piece. It was just a little difficult to navigate all of that. So when we do the next section, and I've already kind of like figured out my methodology, you see I changed that up a bit, if you will. But I do eventually get it in. And so here I am testing the lid, doing the slide to the left, locking it. Yeah, so it works great. After this, I did take all of it apart because now I knew, and then I glued the pieces back together. But again, this set is very sturdy. It fits together very well. So the glue is just like an added thing, not a necessary thing. But you would repeat this process for all 4 of these boxes, which again are the spiders, the mandrake root, the mushrooms, and the bird skull. So all of our bits and pieces for G. So it's this, this, a few more these. Riker. Couple of these. And looks like the little pumpkins. Okay. I'm going to use the same method that I have been using. I need G. For the last ones. It's really beginning to like work out pretty well. So let's get my chaos of Q-tips together. Okay. So to kick it off, we're going to do this 2 small little pieces. Oop-a-doo. And they face forward like this. All right. All right. Then, again, this is different than what they suggest in the instructions. Kind of. I guess they technically, well, anyways. So next what I'm going to do is put these on. See what I mean with these Q-tips? Like, hot damn. Okay. Get a different one. Whoop. So we'll go in here and like this. Same with the other one. Boop. Oh. Oh, see, you do want to be careful when you're fucking with shit. This needs to rotate. The circle should be at the top of the curve. Pull this one out. Okay. Get them good in there. Now I'm going to hook these on. I'll have to kind of shimmy one of the sides out, but you'll see this side is longer than this side. So you want to put this side in first. Like so. And then shimmy this one a little bit. And there you go. And then you can kind of press it into the right space. I'm looking at it. I am going to clean up this glue. Again, this will be on the inside. It will dry clear. But, all right. Next, what I recommend doing is this piece. The G one is different than the F ones because it has one hole here, whereas all the F ones had two. Now, while I was doing these off video, I do kind of get why they maybe had this as like a later step, because one of them was kind of slippery out. But I think you can shimmy it in there pretty good, like that, without too much stress. So then we need the piece like this. And so we're gonna put this in. Ooh, this one. Okay. So you see it's chipping a little bit like that, which is making it hard to put in. So I'm gonna just flip that, and hopefully that fixes the problem. Oh, now this side's doing it. Which is totally fine. Just gonna trim that up a little bit more. Okay. Oh, and now it's going in really well. Then I'm gonna go like this. Glue this down. Boop. Okay. And here I will do a few taps. So now we're gonna put on the pumpkin sides. You're wanting to make sure they go the right way. I've been putting glue here, here, and zoop. So putting that on, tapping it in place. As a reminder, gentle taps, not hard taps. Doing the other side, same dealio. Boop, boop. I will say, watch how far open you have this, because this has the little lip. So you might be like, oh God, it's broken. And it's not. You just don't have the lid quite right. Boop. Oh. Lining it up. And tap, tap. Make sure. There we go. Okay. Tap, 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 tap. Now, what I would do is, oh, see, I didn't have it right. So it's stuck on here. So I gotta pop this. There we go. And now, there. Apparently you want it closed. So now, oh no, guys. See what I did? I fucked up. This doesn't have the etching on the top. Again. This will be a little bit trickier fix. I glued these here. And I was like, Grace, what are you doing? And you know what? The answer is, we're a long ways into this project now. And I start taking shortcuts. So maybe don't take shortcuts. But yeah, there you go. Again, just highlighting how, you know, that's been in there a while. I can still move the glue around. Like that back in. Add some glue here. Now, once this glue is cured and really like set in there, breaking this apart will be a lot harder. So as you're going through, you do want to make sure that you are, I mean, not flawless, but the final result is correct. Otherwise, you will be stuck with something that isn't how it's meant to be. And hey, maybe you won't even realize. That is a chance. That could happen. Okay. All right, now we have the etchings. Slide open, gorgeous. Touching those a little bit. Beautiful. Checking for air gaps. I would just tippy tap all the way around. Oh, this piece is being a little wonky. So what I'm going to do here is actually going to put some glue in it, like this. I'm just going to deep glue it. Anything that's kind of frayed off, I'm going to give it a trim. And then what I'm going to do as a means of providing it support is I'm going to set something on top of here just so it has some pressure so it stays like that. You do want to be careful what you put on there. You want it to be heavy, but nothing that, like, if the glue gets stuck to it a little bit, it's not going to damage. This is kind of a heavier box. I'm going to set that to the side, and that's how it's going to dry. Cool. All right. Moving on to H, which is this one. This one. And then, oh, that one. The one with flowers. No, not this one. Did I not pop flowers out? Okay. Those H5. I did have one of these pop out. So I'm not quite sure which one is H5. Oh. Oh, here we go. Okay. So here's H5. Pop that guy out. We need some Z2s. Okay. Let's make sure we do this one the right way. Edge side down. Dip my M bits in glue. Beautiful. Tap, 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 tap. The back part. Glue. Circle up. Like so. There's that. Time to fry in my sleep. Okay. Okay. Let me slide it on, like so. Yay! All right. Get our little wiggle board, wiggle board. I am always trying to be like slow and cautious. I am approximately 2 hours into this. So I would 100% recommend throwing on a show, listening to some Reddit stories or something. Maybe watching the newest season of Dimension 20. Whatever floats your boat. Because these can be a process. But again, if you're going slow and steady and you put in the effort, like it's gonna be pretty chill. So this is kind of like that one of those first ones we had where you had to curve it up because there's not a centerpiece. But we don't have a middle one to kind of put it into. So I'm going to do a similar process as I did the first one. So I'm going to glue the edgy edge. I'll pop this in. Oh. I'm going to glue this edge and then put the correct side on, starting at this end. And again, the instructions say you should put this on first, but I think this flows better. I'll curve it around. All right, and now that we have a curve, we can just put this one on. If you are Susie rule follower, by all means, follow the instructions exactly. But this is what's working for me. And hopefully it works for you too. All my Q-tips are real crusty now. So it's not going on as smoothly. All right, we're going to shut our lid because we figured out that's the best way to do this part. Now, you may be asking, after seeing all this gorgeous design, like how much did this Tower Rex thing cost? If I recall right, it was something like $74 or $64, somewhere there, that 60 to 75 range. And that's, not cheap. I'm pretty sure that's more expensive than the game itself. So when you're looking at stuff like this, you got to consider if like that is what you want to invest in. Because here's the thing. While these are cute, and I am confident they will make gameplay a little smoother, it's not needed. All the pieces fit in the box. You don't have to have this to be good. Your friends and you are going to have just as much fun if you didn't. All right, we are on to I. So I need this and this. And where are my eye? Yep. These pieces. Just full less broke off. Okay. And then these. And this eye piece here. Okay. All right. So this one, or an eye, is a little bit different. So, no. How they want you to do this one is start with these two pieces. So that is going to be I2 and I assume I1 and connect them. So I would make a lot of effort so that they line up like this. So you can see those holes line up together and then putting them in. Boop, boop. Then you're going to take these pieces, as we've done before, and just go boop, 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 boop. No. And put them in. Again, curve side out. Like that. And then go ahead and put this here. Like so. All right. Now we're gonna glue the edges on. Like this. And we want the pretty side outside. So line it up. Tap it in. And oh, you hear that? That's just okay. Okay. Try to find a softer one. You want that crunchy sound in bread, not your glue, not your glue Q-tip. All right. If you get frustrated because things aren't going in holes or lining up quite right, remember small moves with gentle pressure is the way to go. Okay. Clean up our edges. Again, you don't want to leave the wood too wet because particle board absorbs really easily. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, how this one goes, you're not actually attaching this. This piece just slides in like this. This piece just slides in like, oh, there we go, like this. So gameplay, this is probably going to be popped off. Now, because I have glue drying, I am going to slide this out and just set it next to it. All right, on to J. All right, J, we have these. All right. We need some little of these. Looks like we're going to be hinging some more things. Pop them out. Pop them out. And I'm just going to pop the rest of these out because this thing is almost empty. Just set it aside, but yeah, I think that makes that empty. All right, some Z2s. Pop them out of this one. Oh! Okay, well. Okay, all right. So these are being a little difficult to get out for me. So, tore the pieces away that just fell out. I'm able to get these. But now I have these in here. Now, these should just be able to pop out now because the loosey bits have come. But if not, there we go. I could cut them away with this. So I could have like cut into it like that to get them out. Just things that might help you if you get stuck. All right, our next one is the moth. All right, let's start with Mothman. And you guys are probably old cap at this, but these are slightly different. So the little nubbins boop, go here. Okay. Oop. All right. Here's the back. You guys know what I'm going to do. Paying attention to where my circle is. Yep. Awesome. Whole couple love taps. Boop, 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 boop. All right. Now, etched. We haven't messed up too much yet. Long side in first. Fry a little bit. Back in. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, time for this. Whoop. And whoop. Oh, this one's a tight fit. What is funny is you can get the same kit, and what fits tight for you will not fit tight for me, and vice versa. So even if you're like, oh, Grace is struggling with this, it may not be the same parts you struggle with. So keep that in mind. This one being tinier is kind of stiff. So as I'm bending this, I'm going to want to be genteel. Let's go ahead. My glue on. You may be thinking, Grace, I don't think I want to use glue. By all means, do not use glue. Especially this one. These have all fit so snug. I am not stressed about it. But that's one of those things. You can be start the process, and then you're like, oh, this is fitting great. If you get to one that is loose, then that's a great time for you to just be like, well, maybe for this section that don't fit together all that tight, I will use glue for that one. It's all about your personal discretion and what makes you feel comfy. Again, being real careful about where you're putting glue for these lidded ones. You don't want them to set overnight in their closed position, just in case you missed a spot that had glue, like around these edges, because then you're like, ugh. So as you let them dry overnight, I would just leave them open. Go ahead, clean up our edges. The funny thing about glue is you can be like, oh, I had the perfect amount. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, hot damn, a lot squeezed out. All right, time for the other J, which is... Oh, are we almost done? We might be almost done, guys. If I understand this right, this is the last one. Okay, so last box. Oh, etch side down. Put our little doohickeys. Boop. A little tap if you need it. There you go. All right. Oh, here's my back piece. All right, whole side up. Whole side up. Okay. Long side in. Shimmy, shimmy. Cocoa puff. All right. Here's our last little wiggle bit. Another tight fit. Damn. All right. Glue the side. Glue the side. Boop. Boop. Glue the side. This. Okay. There's that. Boop. Boop. Okay. Oh, we gotta close this. Okay. Love tap it up. All right. Let's clean up our edges. Beautiful. All right. And there she goes. There you have it, guys. That is the entire Quacks of Quenlinburg box organizer assembled. Here we're going to take a quick look at what it looks like in the box. Here you can see the instructions and the board pieces sit on top. And then there are all the little boxes inside. There wasn't a lot of great instruction on how to put the stuff in here aside from the symbols on the boxes. So, you know what? Do whatever makes sense for you. And here, when we're looking at the table, is how it all looks set up. As I mentioned, those little nubbins we put on the lids hold the books. And then the insides split the 1s, 2s, and 4s apart from each other. So on the table, it looks really sharp. I want to thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. This is our first walkthrough of doing a tabletop DIY kind of like this. If you have any questions about how I did things, drop them below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, go ahead and hit a like. If you hit subscribe, you'll see our videos pop up more often for you on your For You page. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified next time we upload. But since there's nothing else, I'll talk to you guys next time.